puts it up. Michael Jordan. Oh, my goodness. That is unbelievable. Green's two-putt as good as it gets.
Sunset in Austin, Texas, and along 6th Street where the fun can be had just a stone's throw away inside the Irwin Center, otherwise known as the Superdrum on the campus of the University of Texas. It's a South Region second-round matchup as 14th seeded Northwestern State, Louisiana, out of Natchitoches, Louisiana, takes on the Florida Gators. Happy to have you with us here on True TV as you look at the brackets in the South Region. The winner of this game will advance to take on the winner of our second game tonight between UCLA and Minnesota. So happy to have you with us. Tim Brando alongside Mike Jaminski. This is going to be a very fun game. We've already seen 4 teams beat 3s in this tournament so far, but this Florida team has, from a textbook standpoint, all that you have to go to a Final Four. They're so efficient in so many areas, Mike.
And they play very well at both ends of the floor, Tim. There's really no gap there. You take a look at the numbers. Very good on the defensive end of the floor, 53.7 points, the third fewest in the NCAA, but also on offense, they are very efficient, shooting it at 48%.
As good as they are, and Billy Donovan's got a couple of national championships and back-to-back Elite Eights in the NCAAs, they're going up against a scoring machine. Number one, and they come at you, well, in waves.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of people play about 20 minutes a game and translates into a lot of points on the floor. Their offense, they lead the nation in scoring at 81 points a game. They really like to play up and down. They'll get you over, they'll turn you over, and 72.9 possessions per 40 minutes. That is most in the NCAA as well.
2 accomplished coaches. One has national titles in his hip pocket. The other has given Northwestern State great moments. In fact, most recently in 2006, when as a 14 seed, they took out the Hawkeyes of Iowa. We shall see next on True TV.
You made a choice. You made a choice that you were going to bind together and you were going to be a team, and you weren't going to be worried about selfishness or this, that, and the other. So I want you to think about this right now. You need to have joy in your heart today for one another and pull for one another, care for one another, and love one another like we do each and every day.
Dale Brown recruited him but lost to Scotty Robertson when he played at Louisiana Tech. But he does not take a back seat to the preacher man of Louisiana. He's now the Pied Piper of Northwestern State. And his Demons, the 14th seed, will come at you with 11, maybe even 12 guys. But this is the first wave. Shamir Davis, Gary Stewart, Patrick Robinson, Daquan Hicks, and O.J. Evans. It's a junior, senior laden squad. And about every 5 years, Northwestern State manages to crash the NCAA party. On the opposite side, the Gators, you talk about strength and senior leadership. They got plenty of that. Boynton, along with Wilbekin in the backcourt. Rosario, the Rutgers transfer, who's really improved. Eric Murphy and Patrick Young. They'll bring some strength and brawn to this team. How well they play inside might even be the difference in tonight's game, because Northwestern State may not have an answer for their kind of power. For Billy Donovan, who in 17 years has gone from Billy the Kid to the dean of all coaches in the Southeastern Conference.
And really has embraced Florida, has embraced it as a football school, and has built a basketball program that stands on its own, Tim.
Absolutely. Under the leadership of their director of athletics, Jeremy Foley, they are a proud program in every sport. And when Billy Donovan decided to stay in Gainesville after he lost those 2-time champions, it sent a message, perhaps, that he would be the next elder statesman in college basketball.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know too many out there in the landscape who might be at a school for 30-plus years, but Billy Donovan may be that next guy. It's interesting that the Demons a little loose out here before the jump ball, Tim. They are not aware of their environs. This is just a ball game.
As the next session gets underway, people are still filing in to the Irwin Center here in Austin, Texas. The opening tap controlled to the Gators. Right away, Murphy gets it inside. They plan on taking it right to the basket all game long against the smaller Demons.
Well, that's what Billy Donovan said, even on the break, not settling for long, bad threes, but just attacking the rim and trying to get to the free throw line.
Our officials, we showed you Jerry Heater, Jeffrey Clark, Terry Weimer for tonight's game.
Tim, it's, we talk about Northwestern State, and they really play a high-tempo game, but not out of control.
Right away, DeQuan Hicks with a two just inside the three-point arc. And here comes that frenetic pace that they dictate with their pressing style.
And consider that Hicks averages 14 points a game in only 20 minutes of action. I mean, that's what a high tempo is. And playing 20 minutes in this system is like playing 30 plus in a normal system.
Rosario beyond the arc, being checked by Gary Stewart. Murphy can face you up. Play the role of the stretch four, and he knocks down a three ball. It's 5-2. In the Southland Conference, Stephen F. Austin was the regular season champion, but Northwestern State beat them twice in 3 opportunities, including in the title game in Katy, Texas, just outside Houston last week. Little stop and go. Davis right to the rack, senior from Huntington High in Shreveport, Louisiana.
You have to understand, he is a left-handed player and very tough going that way. They like to set the pick and let him get the edge. And we're going to see the next wave only 2 minutes into the game. Here comes the first substitution for Northwestern State. 5 guys.
A little bit like going to the Greyhound bus stop.
Over the boards in hockey. Not quite changing on the fly, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be incumbent on Florida to get their matchups with these guys coming in and out as quickly as they are.
Well, he told us he might squeeze that wave from 3.5 to 2, and 2 minutes in, that's exactly what he's doing. Well, that's a foul, a push from James Holden, another senior that comes in. Such
a unique style. I mean, Coach Smith used to have the blue unit, but that was only for short instances and well into the game. But there's no drop off with these guys.
This is an aggravated version of what Shaka Smart does at VCU. He's the only one that even comes close, but it's not nearly as aggravated as what Northwestern State does. Rosario from downtown.
Yeah, Mike Rosario, 36%, but how many times off an offensive rebound do you get a good look on a three? And that was good work by Patrick Young inside.
Gary Robertson has it knocked away by the taller Murphy. Length of the floor. And a dump down. Well, right away we get the evening session underway, and Florida Gulf Coast is up on Georgetown. Keep an eye on that one as it's taking place over on TBS. And James Holden picks up the foul, his second. That game has just gone to the half. And how about Andy Linfield's club?
Yeah, what a job he's done. A very dangerous offensive club. Beat Miami earlier this year. Didn't have Durant Scott in that game, but still.
Right to the rack they go, end to end, as Jalen West feeding and fanning Bryson White, who can be a real trump card player in tonight's game. 22 in purple.
As I asked Mike McConaughey yesterday, who's your X factor? Could Bryson White be the guy? And he said absolutely. 9 times double figures, twice over 20 points.
There's West, a wraparound pass and a thing of beauty. Right to the wide open Marvin Frazier. Sophomore from Zwolle, Louisiana.
And he said the freshman West has really taken to this system and got adapted quickly.
And again, Rosario taking it inside, drawing a foul.
Well, here's the look inside. That is a beautiful drive to the rim. No help defensively. And then the pass inside, being ready to receive the basketball. Marvin Frazier, nice job. But challenging game to call this on TV.
Yes,
it's up and down as quickly as it is. We have to go to the radio call.
I have to tell you, as you know, my home is in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's about an hour's drive from Natchitoches. And when they made the first NCAA appearance under Mike McConaughey, it was in Dayton, and the initial first first-round game known to some as, and the NCAA doesn't like hearing it, but they called it a play-in back then. It's now the first 4 with 68 teams. But they all came to us. Rick Pitino and I were calling the game. They had all these stories, and I said, Mike, we don't have time for stories. We're barely keeping up with the game.
Yeah, I'm sure Bobby Jindal's going to send you a check after this game with all the love Louisiana's going to get.
Yeah. There you see that victory they got as a 14 seed against Steve Alford's led Iowa Hawkeyes back in 2006. It was Jermaine Wallace that hit that near buzzer beater in Auburn Hills for Mike McConaughey. I mentioned he was a great player. So was his dad. His father, John, was the all-time greats at Northwestern State. And that's a walk. On the ball fake by Robertson, the senior from Natchitoches. Prather's coming to the game now for Florida, with Rosario sitting down. Here comes that pressure. Murphy there to help. Quick outlet. No one there for Wilbekin.
Yeah, that's exactly what Florida wants to do, to attack, not settling for a bad shot, but attack for a layup.
And we got a tie ball with the arrow to Northwestern State. Yeah, what did Billy say? We don't want to get caught up into getting up and down and taking wild threes. Take it right to the 10. You ought to get layups against the pressure, and Wilbekin did.
Ernie Johnson in New York. Time for the All-State Good Hands Update. Florida Gulf Coast, first appearance in the NCAA tournament, and it's a good one so far. They lead Georgetown at the half, 24-22. That's Sherwood Brown, that game on TBS. Timmy and Mike.
Thank you, Ernie. Well, expect the unexpected. And the winner of that game will advance to take on the Aztecs Oklahoma Sooners winner in Philadelphia. Out of the timeout, Northwestern State gets Shamir Davis and some of that first wave back on the floor. Quad Hicks giving it back up.
And that's what Mike McCarthy will do, Tim, and you know this as well as anyone. They'll spend 30 minutes figuring out who is the most effective group on the floor and then go with them down the stretch.
Ball was slapped away by Rosario. 10 on the shot clock as Davis prepares to trigger it in underneath their own hoop. Tough pass, and that's a foul by Boynton. It's a very dangerous inbounds that was being thrown to O.J. Evans. Well, let's take a look at the Infinity Coaches Spotlight. There's Mike McConaughey, and drove the bus at Bossier Parish Community College, a junior college just across the Red River from Shreveport. Was an all-everything player at Airline High School, and then was recruited by the late Scotty Robertson, whom you knew from NBA days. Coached in New Orleans, the Detroit Pistons, and other places. He's a teammate of Tim Floyd's, by the way, on that Louisiana Tech team. Now the coach at Texas El Paso. Another reach-in foul spotted yet again as Daquan Hicks was active on the offensive glass for the Demons.
Yeah, and this is that's a foul, a tough foul. It's an SEC foul inside, but you know, Hicks, we talk about his scoring, but also averages 11 rebounds per 40 minutes if you do the math there. So very solid on their boards as well.
He's averaging 14 and just under 6 boards in 20 minutes of action. And this is a young man that got to Natchitoches by way of Racine, Wisconsin, and New Mexico Junior College. A very stable but emotional player, which Coach McConaughey really thrives on. He brings a lot of emotion himself to the locker room.
And you've got to really sell guys about this system. You know, it's about minutes for a lot of kids, and they don't understand. They're going to say, Coach, I'm going to play 15 to 20 minutes a game. You know, how's that going to work? But you know, you get in and you get some numbers up in that time.
Again, right to the rack, but that time some pressure defensively against Prather, and it's pulled away to Shamir Davis. Pass Rosario and rejected by Prather.
Well, really physical, got a great motor, good mid-range game. And this is a terrific defensive play.
You may be wondering, does Northwestern State see many teams like this through the course of the year? Yes, they do. They play a number of so-called money games players to help sustain their athletic department, going to places like Fayetteville, Arkansas, which they did earlier this year, and only lost by about 10. They were in that game late. They play SEC competition all the time, and yet another reach-in foul as Patrick Young gets the ball in the low post, and the line change about to occur yet again. Look at that, fewest points by starters that you have this year.
Yeah, 48, or you go the other way, 48% of their points from the bench. But I mean, it is equitable 1 through 10.
And the second wave has re-entered the game.
And a little different record result from the other two clubs.
That's right.
The same way.
One noticeable difference, it works in negative. And a steal. Bryson White is right.
We talked about it, the guy who could be the X factor right there, and that was just a great job playing the passing lane.
You and I had Michigan State at LIU Brooklyn last year. Remember what a root canal that was for Tom Izzo's squad? And they were a 1 seed that particular year. Young lost it, but Will you get, who thankfully was able to come back from injury in the latter stages of February to help give depth to the Florida front line. And a 3-ball answer from James Holden.
One of the better three-point shooters on this team, 7th in the Southland Conference.
We're tied at 15. You get right to the rack again. Young can't get it to go. Prather, and finally it's tipped through by Young.
Gives the requisite hand up to the scorer's table to get credit for the hoop.
Jalen West. This is the kid from Bossier City High who was recruited by some of the big schools around the country and said no, simply wanted to stay close to home, and McConaughey's glad he did.
How about this number? Only guy in the NCAA, 10 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, but 2.5 assists to turnover ratio.
Unbelievable. That's a tie ball.
Incredible numbers for a freshman.
The arrow is to Florida. And Murphy looks to come back into the game for Will You Get.
Good pass, and that's pretty good seal up that time inside by Northwestern State. Nowhere for You Get to go. Say that a couple times fast.
It's very rare I defer, but I did there. Young with a slam.
Yeah, he should absolutely dominate this game in the paint.
And a steal taken right away by Murphy. Gary Robertson's got to be strong with the basketball against this very powerful Florida front line. All the tools are there. And yet another foul committed inside by Robertson. It could become a problem for Northwestern State. Attrition inside with foul difficulty.
Well, this is just a little bit too easy on an underneath out-of-bounds play. The direct pass inside for the dunk. He did a nice job of holding up his defender. That's just the one liability that Young has to make 50% at the line.
Late in the SEC championship game when Andy Kennedy's team was making its run, Mike, one of the things that they, I thought, appropriately pulled off was they made absolutely certain that there were no easy shots, and they sent Young to the line quite often. And it was almost like a turnover, which helped enable the Rebels to claim that tournament championship. That ball was out of bounds, Bolton on the inline.
Here's the look, just losing concentration. You see the foot right on the line. Good call by the referees.
Well, Billy Donovan, again, a reminder about the greatness of this game. Tutored under Patino, took the Providence Friars to the Final Four back in 1987. His father, William, is here tonight. He always makes the trip. And you will not meet a better guy in this business. He is the total package in college basketball. Well, get full coverage of the 2013 Division I Women's Basketball Tournament at ncaa.com/women's Final Four. I don't know if anybody, there are a few guys that you put in a category that are the total package. Bill Self, Tom Izzo, and I think Donovan's got to be in that group.
Well, it was interesting doing that last game at Louisville, Peyton Siva's last home game, that Rick Pitino really welled up and talking about him, and he said the only two guys I've coached with no character flaws are Peyton Siva and Billy Donovan.
Says a lot. Rosario pulls up. Beautifully done. Well, they are doing exactly what Billy wanted them to, making sure they get the best shots at the basket possible, that they'll be there once they break the pressure. And Hicks can't get that one to go.
And he talked about not being afraid to play. He wants to play at tempo, but again, it's playing smart at tempo.
Young working on Hicks. Good defensive work by DeQuan Hicks. Jalen West, again a pull-up. Too strong, Murphy the rebound. Quick shots are part of the Northwestern State arsenal. Rosario.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Florida holds up. I mean, this is a team that's Northwestern State that's used to playing in waves. Florida is not. And that's the whole theory behind this, is maybe it doesn't manifest itself now. It's in the last 10 minutes of the game when it gets to the ropes.
I don't know that Hicks needed to go up and get that one. Goaltending is the call. Count the basket. 23-17. 6-0 spurt. But the Demons are dictating pace of play. That's the rule, never the exception. Mike McConaughey did have his one shining moment back in 2006. It was Jermaine Wallace corralling a long rebound after they had fought from 17 down to hit this shot heard round the basketball world in Auburn Hills. Northwestern State would claim a victory over the third seed Iowa as a 14. And you know, we talk about it often, Mike. That's what makes this tournament so great. Winning a national championship for Billy Donovan is special, but no more special than that one victory at Auburn Hills that Mike McConaughey got back in 2006. Hicks down low with the baseline extended, pops out. Well, he's got a nice stroke.
Yeah, he's got a great mid-range game, Tim, and talked about it. He's got some size inside, and they've got a couple of wide bodies who can bang with the front court of Florida.
So far, the Gators doing what they want on the offensive end, but as you said, Mike, only time will tell if this pace of play wears on the Gators with their jump shots. Loose ball, Hicks gives it up to Shamir Davis. Nice pass. Inside, beautifully done by Hicks. Finding his man inside for the lay-in. O.J. Evans. And a timeout, Gators. Northwestern State sending a message they intend to hang around.
Let's take a look at this screen. Murphy right here is going to set a brutal pick. Free up a jump shooter right there. Couldn't believe there was no foul called. And then this just is beautiful interior passing between the bigs, and O.J. Evans finishing off the play that DeQuan Hicks started.
See the story for Hicks. 6 points and 4 boards already. Very impactful, holding his own against a much stronger Florida front line. Yagget is in out of the timeout.
Actually, Tim, in Northwestern State, we talked about tempo. They're playing a little bit slower, a lot slower normally than they would. 17 possessions in that first 10 minutes, which is about 68 for the game, about 6 fewer than they normally would.
Michael Frazier trying to get loose, but Wilbekin, who has come under question at times late in games. Florida struggled in close games. 7 points for Scotty so far.
One minute that Billy Donovan likes, that assist-to-turnover ratio for him, reached the SEC.
Well, that time O.J. Evans could not get it to fall from point-blank range, but it was well defended. Boynton with Rosario, Murphy, Yagget, and Frazier on the floor. Boynton. He has got, as you mentioned, Mike, a strange rotation in that jump shot, but it was effective there.
Yeah, funny stroke, but 32% from 3, Tim.
Largest lead, 28-21, Gators by 7. And the next wave for Northwestern State awaits, along with Patrick Young to come in on the next dead ball, and there's a reach-in foul. Wonder if Young feels lonely over there. There's only one of him and 5 Northwestern State Demons ready to check in.
Here's the look from right behind it, and watch the ball go sideways instead of the traditional rotation on it. That is tough to do. I think there's a little bit too much of the offhand in that shot.
Boynton, by the way, got that foul, his second, and he's forced to sit down. And all of the second wave is back on the floor now for Northwestern State. James Holman, who's hit a couple, plus Jalen West, the freshman sensation, along with Gary Robertson, Marvin Frazier, and Bryson White. Jumper does not fall. Uget has his pocket picked. They try to save it and do. Nice hustle play on a 50-50 ball that time by Michael Frazier II. Uget. And a good box out with a tie ball in the arrow to Northwestern State. Uget getting tied up there with Marvin Frazier for that rebound.
Here's the look inside, and 8 offensive rebounds right now, but really not getting a lot as a result of it. Check that. So 8 offensive rebounds, 9 second chance points. So an area that that they can take advantage of.
This is an 11-4 run for Florida. And a 3-ball for Jalen West.
He just walked into that 3. I mean, it just lulled him to sleep, and the hands were down and teed it up.
He really may be the difference in this team. I asked Mike McConaughey about that 2016 where can he give us a comparison as we see, I believe Frazier got Bryson White in the eye that time. And he said, you know what, we had scoring droughts back then. Yeah, they only averaged 76, not 81 like now. It's madness, and it's in Austin, Texas. Summarizing our game, you look at the substitution pattern, that's a blowout. But at the same time, Florida getting done, Mike, I think what they want inside, and that's important to Billy Donovan.
Yeah, and, I think they're getting it done offensively. I don't think he's happy with his defensive effort to this point. We talked about it, how many points they give up game and their field goal percentage for their opponent, and right now Northwestern State plus 50% for the game.
Florida Gulf Coast and Georgetown. Outstanding matchup right now between those two teams over on TBS. If you want to check it out, Andy Enfield, the former Leonard Hamilton assistant, getting the job done. A program that's only been eligible for the NCAAs for 2 years. One of the amazing stories in this NCAA tournament.
Known as a shooting guru, and he's got them shooting well. Was actually on staff with Rick Pitino early on with the Celtics.
Wilbekin, nice entry pass to Young and a foul inside.
But, again, I think you have to make that decision with Patrick Young that if he's got a layup or a dunk inside, you've got to put him on the line if you've got fouls to give.
Gary Robertson, the foul for Northwestern State. That'll send Young to the free throw line. You made a statement to me yesterday, Mike, and I thought it was worthwhile when you look at Patrick Young physically and you think, there's got to be more production, particularly in rebounding from him and style of play. Well, every Thursday, Upload with Shaquille O'Neal. It's an all-new comedy where nothing is out of bounds. Every Thursday, 10:30 on True TV.
27, 30 minutes a night, and you got to get more than 6 rebounds. I mean, just look at him and say, man, this guy is going to gobble everything up.
And an offensive rebound for Florida. Nice job there by Casey Prather. Offensive rebounding story, important. Young out of deflection, but they find Rosario on the wing. That's his favorite spot. He was just a catch-and-shoot guy when Donovan got him. He's learned how to put it on the deck and create now, and the lead balloons to 8.
Well, that was a pretty good find that time by Patrick Young. Almost a turnover, but was able to corral it and knew where his shooters would be.
Jalen West, when times are tough, will call his own name. And the shot clock is winding down now. It could be just that time. A good pass inside, and another. Two great interior passes, and Frazier is fouled.
I really like how their bigs move the basketball. One bounce pass here, another pass here, the cut inside. Those little short passes in the lane are pretty difficult to connect.
Textbook, really. Mike Rosario got his second. And Marvin Frazier at the free throw line.
And it took him a few games, but Mike McConaughey told us he's tweaked their starting lineup a little bit down the stretch. He thinks he's got the between the two waves much more balance offensively.
Well, just as you mentioned that, back to the bus stop we go, although not immediately after the missed free throw. They'll have to wait a while.
Why even have a bench over there? They just need to just go over and stand there for a couple minutes and then come back in.
Murphy with a little jump hook baseline. And the rebound had and lost by Robertson. Rosario's putback won't go. Florida's dominance on the offensive glass really showing up here. Rosario again. Finally it's pulled down by Frazier.
Multiple shots though, but nothing to show for it, Tim.
Does not look like a freshman handling that rock, does he? And there's a reach-in foul against Prather, working on James Holbert.
There aren't many freshman point guards who could come into this system, play at this pace, and have a 2.5 assist-to-turnover ratio.
Oh, you're right. We'll see the team foul story. Florida's in the 1-and-1 now as the line change has occurred. I get a feeling we ought to have skates involved somehow.
Yeah, I was going to wait for the first icing call of the game.
If there's a high sticking call, then we've got a scoop.
They'll change the defense now for Florida. Little zone.
Yep. And a three ball. Recognizing that, Gary Stewart says thank you. Youngster from Vidalia, Louisiana.
You may not see that zone much for a while. Coaches do that. Team drops a bomb on you like that, it's back to man.
32-28. Just over 5 to play in the first half. 14th seeded Northwestern State. Number 3 seed Florida. And alley-oop was too strong. DeQuan Hicks comes out of there with us. Shamir Davis walked. A little anticipation by Shamir. Anticipating a pass down the floor. Let's see, it's a zone, I think.
Well, it's a look. You know, the guy with the ball is pretty important. Usually don't leave him, and he used the ball fake to get 2 defenders off of him.
It was only the 5th turnover committed by Northwestern State. I think about the style that they employ and the few turnovers they have. Great defensive play, but a recovery by Young.
Think about it, you know, Florida's had a relatively long time to prepare for this. Think about having to prepare for this on one day's turnaround.
Murphy gets the long rebound off the aerial from Patrick Robinson. And Young walked.
Now, see, that's Robikin's fault right there. You don't give a center the pass right there where he's got to put it on the floor. He put his teammate in trouble with that pass.
And it's also, is it not an illustration of what Northwestern State can do to you with that style of play?
You get a little hurry up in you as well. Let's see if the next possession Florida comes down is a little bit more deliberate.
Robinson looking for Davis in the corner. Gary Stewart looking for a pick and roll. Nice pass again to Hicks. What a beautiful pass to Evans. Hicks reads Evans so well.
He's playing point forward out there, Tim. He really does a nice job in the middle of that defense.
And another near steal. The Demons are loving it. A devilish group. Break out the meat pies. The Christmas lights where the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is located. They're here for 40 minutes.
Ernie Johnson in New York. Do not adjust your sets. This is actually happening in Philadelphia. A 21-2 run by Florida Gulf Coast. They are blowing out Georgetown. Meantime, Ohio State leading by 10 over Iona. Aaron Kraft off the glass for a couple. Let's get back to Austin. Tim and Mike.
Thank you, Ernie. So a little bit's going on in the NCAA tournament here in the Second round, huh? Prather looking for Patrick Young. Florida has done a lot effectively in this first half, but Northwestern State has certainly dictated pace of play.
Right, not only that, Tim, but they're shooting 54%, and it's not like they're throwing in bombs. I mean, they are getting into the interior of Florida's defense.
Murphy has 9. He and Patrick Young have collaborated for 18 of Florida's 36, so half of their output. And a turnover. Unforced error that time. And don't forget, coming up, we'll be taking you to AT&T at the half, complete with scores and highlights, updates, just like the one you got from Ernie, only a little bit longer. The guys working overtime with an amazing Friday evening underway here in round number 2 of the 2013 NCAA tournament.
Well, I thought it was going to be an interesting game with Florida Gulf Coast, but not a blowout. I mean, that's...
Again, when you get into the NCAAs and you have teams that haven't seen others play or their styles, that's what makes the first full week and weekend so much fun. Loose ball out of bounds to Northwestern State.
Pretty good job that time by Northwestern State, making him take a tough shot. That was more of a jump hook going away from the rim. Double team help coming in. Doing a nice job on Patrick Young.
Are you getting the feeling that as the game develops, Mike, that maybe Florida is getting a little winded?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the pace up and down, and they're getting, the Demons getting fresh legs in every 2 minutes. But, you know, Tim, the longer this goes, you get into the 8-minute mark in the second half, things could get interesting, and all of a sudden Northwestern State, the belief systems goes through the roof.
Shamir Davis and Jalen West now on the floor simultaneously. First time we've seen that. Shot clock down to 7. 2 point guards on the floor right now. Davis, the senior, gets it done. Right past Prather.
You got to sit on his left hand, make him go right.
Wilbekin, high arching off the window. Nice adjustment by Scotty Wilbekin. 38-32. Scotty has 9.
Well, Mike McConaughey said yesterday, how are we going to react when we get run on and people in Florida pushes the tempo?
Jalen West and Shamir Davis on the floor simultaneously. You don't see that often in the mix and match line change system that Northwestern State has. Ball is on the deck. The arrow is to Florida. So the Gators should have it after the scrum. Take a look at this offense, Mike.
This is what they're all about, and they've got the good mid-range jump shooting. Not a lot of threes, but they're right making it off the play, off the defense, getting out on the open floor. Gary Stewart knocking down a 3. And look at this, getting to his left hand. Not a good help defensive play that time by Michael Frazier. These guys are quick off the dribble.
Eric Murphy back into the game, replacing Yaget. Billy Donovan is doing everything in his power to keep Murphy, Yaget, and Young as fresh as possible. But over time, with a shorter rotation, you wonder how much gas they may have left if this game is competitive in the last 5 minutes. There's a dump down again to Murphy. Easy doings.
He's been their most reliable offensive player, Tim. Nice shape up that time, working up against the back of the defense.
Northwestern State has never led, but Florida has never been ahead by more than 8. And a timeout taken by Northwestern State with 1:04 left. 40-32. The Gators have the lead. Be the first to know the latest news on all your teams with Bleacher Report's Team Stream app. Stay one step ahead. Check out Team Stream on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device today.
Really, at the pace of play that they sustain, an 8-point deficit is really nothing for they can make that up quickly.
Both teams over 50%, Mike, and a combined 30 field goals with just 11 turnovers.
Yeah, and I think if Northwestern State get a stop, a score, a stop, and a score, and they'll feel pretty good about themselves going into half.
West working it. Gary Robertson on the floor, 34. Now Shamir Davis. An extra ball handler can mean a lot when the clock is winding down, as it does again, under 10. Pick and pop. Out to Robertson. The iron unkind, and on the offensive glass, it's lost out of bounds, and it belongs to the Gators. 36.7 remaining in the half.
So only 1.7 seconds left, and you want to make sure you get the last shot here.
Patrick Robinson re-enters the game, replacing Robertson. It's a pretty big sequence, don't you think, for Northwestern State defensively?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to give up a 2 or a 3 in this and have that lead go up to double figures.
I don't know that you could ask much more if you're Mike McConaughey, and yet your team would be down by 10 or 11. Might be a bit disheartening going into the break. Wilbekin has been outstanding. 9 points for him, a perfect 4 for 4 from the floor. Prather off the high pick. Too strong, again, was out of bounds. And they'll have to readjust the clock. There was a 1.7 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, so they should be able to adjust that without much of a problem.
And this, I think they just waited. That is a long, late shot. Prather only 2 of 6 on the year.
Well, you can see when the ball went out of bounds, it was at 1.9.
No, they still haven't gotten
0.7. Wow, that's interesting to me. All right. The shot clock, I guess they may have had a touch underneath. That's a little surprising to me. 0.7 instead of 1.7. Length of the floor, West. Always exciting, huh?
Such an interesting style of play for Northwestern State, and you know, for Billy Donovan again, I'm sure with the offense relatively happy.
Let's go over to Otis Livingston, who's standing by with Billy Donovan.
With the discipline of your offense?
Well, I think we've shot a pretty good percentage. Went into a little bit of foul trouble with Rosario and Boynton having to sit down for a good portion of that first half. Probably played, you know, too many guys, too many minutes, but, you know, overall I was more disappointed with our defense. You know, we got to do a better job defensively.
Are you at all concerned that this wave offense that they have is going to wear you down and they're going to have fresher legs come late in the second half?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Boynton and Rosario should be fresh. I don't even know if those guys played. So Wilbekin, we got to get a little bit more rest too. But you know what? With Rosario and Boynton sitting on the bench, those guys didn't play a lot of minutes, and we rotated, you know, 4 front court players. So, you know, they put 5 guys in, 5 guys out. But I feel like we should be fine physically.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. All the best second half.
Spoken by a guy who plays a lot of 3-on-3 himself these days, Billy Donovan. That's the end of the first half. Gators lead it by 8. And we'll send you to AT&T at the half, where there are a few surprises going on. After these messages, you're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. (40-32) our score at halftime. The Florida Gators efficient as usual for Billy Donovan with the lead here in Austin, Texas. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, and really both teams have accomplished what they set out to do from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, and basically Northwestern State has shortened the game, a 20-minute game. They're still well within reach with plenty of possessions, and I think Billy Donovan talked about it. They've got to get their backcourt back out on the court and get some rest for Mr. Wilbekin.
Indeed. Well, Wilbekin really, along with the bigs for Florida, were most effective. As we take a look at the stats in the first half of this game, our Coca-Cola Zero stats, and really, I think probably those loose ball opportunities that Florida came up with, the 50-50 plays, were a catalyst for them.
But really, at the pace it was played, relatively few turnovers in the game, especially for Northwestern State, only 5 with the way they go. But it's going to be interesting to see who plays into that last wave.
Indeed. Well, a few moments ago, our Otis Livingston had a conversation with Mike McConaughey of Northwestern State.
Coach, 32 points at the half. You said you wish that you had 40. Yeah. But let's talk about defensively. How are you going to slow these guys down?
Well, I just think that one of the problems that we're having is that they've gotten the ball up the floor. We've had mismatched coverages, and they've been able to get the ball up the floor like on easy buckets. And, of course, Patrick Young and Murphy are really hurting us inside. They've got 26 points in the paint, and that's really hurting us. I feel like that their kids are playing hard. I just think that we had our hand on the ball 4 or 5 times, that we didn't get a hold of it and take care of it, and they scored buckets off of it.
Are you expecting this wave offense, wave after wave, to wear them down?
We're sure hopeful.
All right, best of luck in the second half, Coach.
You mentioned
Tim?
it. Thank you, Otis. You mentioned the first wave and the second wave. What kind of mix master do you think he'll have in the last 10 minutes of the game?
Well, Tim, I think the locks are West and Davis out there at the backcourt and Hicks.
Okay.
And then it's going to be a matter, I think, over the next 2 minutes or next 10 minutes, who steps up. Holman, I think, gave them some good energy and some good defense.
Georgetown and Florida Gulf Coast going at it. A very close game there. Could be the upset of the tournament to this point as we open second half play. An easy one for Patrick Robinson, his first bucket. And it's 40-34. Didn't take long for Northwestern State to scratch in the second half. Rosario also had a good half, and I think that time Young, a little derriere from Big Patrick Young, gets him the personal foul. That's actually steps. I beg your pardon. I thought maybe he got him with a hook, but it was not. Just a travel.
No, he never really had a good base on the catch that time and had to take a hop to get his legs underneath him.
Shamir Davis operating at the point. Gary Stewart, a big that can handle it, finds Hicks on the wing. That's his spot. He is absolutely automatic. Baseline extended. He's got 8.
Really 3 of 4 from the field, really efficient in that mid-range game, and you could just see that Patrick Young's very reluctant to come out and play him.
Michael Frazier II, the freshman from Tampa, on the floor along with Wilbekin. Kenny Boyden going a little smaller in that backcourt with an extra handle with all that pressure that Northwestern State delivers. Boyden, little floater inside the lane.
Trying to get himself back in. And Tim, you know, the one thought that came to mind about playing against the Demons, I'd hate to play him without TV timeouts. I mean, that really helps you. I mean, especially in the tournament, they're a little bit longer as well, so you get that rest built in.
Yes, we do have advertising on this tournament, don't we?
Got to pay the bills.
Yes, we do. There's a reach-in foul spotted underneath. Boyden takes it inside. Patrick Robinson gets his first.
And Boyden looking to be very aggressive here early. The nice spin.
Casey Prather coming back onto the floor, number 24 in white. As Rosario, actually Wilbekin takes a seat.
And this, you know, it's saved for some key positions, but the Demons able to absorb foul trouble a little bit more easily than Florida.
Boyden not this time. Prather the offensive rebound. And a kick out to Frazier. 14 of the 18 field goals for Florida have been in the paint. Most effective doing what Billy Donovan wanted them to do, and a bad shot that time thrown up by Gary Stewart.
Well, not just post-ups, Tim, but second chance opportunities, 9 offensive rebounds for 12 points.
Daquan Hicks comes down with that rebound for the Demons. And the second wave is preparing to come in on the next dead ball for the Demons, just beyond the 2-minute mark of the second half. There's the pick and roll, and another nice pass inside, slapped away by Florida. They were ready that time. Gators well scouted. They learned their lesson from half number 1 on that interior pass from Hicks. Frazier for 3. And the rebound cleared by O.J. Evans. Gone here in the second half. There's the alley-oop inside. Hicks again found his man, but O.J. Evans unable to convert. Boyden on a blow-by, and a foul committed by Shamir Davis. Gators have some energy early on, as you see the story on those two, Boyden and Rosario.
Yeah, those two were the only ones really impacted with foul trouble in the first half for Florida, limiting them to 18 minutes combined. But Bill Donovan, I like the comment, well, their legs should be fresh for the second half.
Well, Tuesday, True TV cracks the lock on an all-new episode of Storage Hunters. Tuesday at 9:30 on True TV. I got to tell you, the Brando household just loves True TV, and we find out so much more about it by virtue of doing this.
Yep, absolutely.
We really do. Give me some lizard lip towing anytime. We enjoy that show. Gary Robertson with Jalen West now back in with his second wave operating at the point. Three ball not falling for Northwestern State early in the second half. Bryson White unable to get that one to go.
I get the sense this is a lot slower pace than Northwestern State would like to play with, right? I think Florida's kind of reined this in a little bit.
Yes, they have. Young with a little jump hook. They are much more comfortable with what Northwestern State's doing to them in the second half than they were in the opening minutes of the first. And some missed opportunities for the Demons helping the cause. And a foul spotted inside. Timeout. Gators have the early edge in the second half. We'll be right back.
Ernie Johnson in New York. High drama on TBS as Florida Gulf Coast is trying to upset Georgetown. Look at this. Brett Comer to Chase Feeler. Gave him a 9-point lead. Right now it's a 7-point game with a buck and a half to play. Tim.
Things are tightening up in there, Ernie. Thank you. And 14s have beaten threes. Georgetown goes down. That would shock so many. Gives you the idea that the value of a 16-1 versus 15-2, certainly 14 threes. We've seen already Harvard pull it off in this NCAA tournament. And you get trying to reach in, almost had the pilfer, but I think got him with the arm as well, and is tagged for the foul. Just the first foul on Will You Get. West triggers it in. Knocked away yet again. The inbounds pass has become a problem. Florida very aggressive on the defensive end. And as you mentioned, Mike, they seem to have reined it in and sort of forced Northwestern State to play at a slower pace in this half.
Well, at the half, they were at 30 possessions, which is well below the pace that they would normally play. And I think it's even gotten slower in the first 5 minutes here.
West, nice speed inside. The extra pass is made. And off the window, Bryson White. At Wichita, Kansas.
Well, if they're going to go smaller, Tim, I talked about the 2 point guards being there. I mean, White may be a third guy on the perimeter. He's been pretty explosive.
Jalen West picks up the foul. Watch games on your computer, iPhone, iPad, and select Android phones with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today. Scotty Wilbekin to trigger it in. Boynton, you get Murphy, Wilbekin, and Michael Frazier the second on the floor for Florida. Nice move by Murphy, count the basket. Pinned on the backboard by Holben.
Well, he's got Bryson White on him, so they did a good job sniffing out the mismatch, getting him the post. There's no way that White can handle him down there on the low block.
This is a Florida team that is absolutely built for tournament success. A lot of times people get caught up in what happens to them during the regular season, maybe the inability to win away from home, and especially in close games. But Donovan gets it. You know, after that first run that he made and lost to Tom Izzo, a couple of NIT years after that, before the system really kicked in with that triumvirate of stars that led them to back-to-back national championships.
You know, it's interesting, Tim, and talking to Billy Donovan, I said, how do you feel about your team right now going into the tournament? And he says, you know, it could be better. The loss to Ole Miss really shook them up a little bit.
Yep.
Most coaches, you come off a tournament loss, you don't feel great going into that next week.
Boynton again with the floor not balanced. And a give-up foul that was a must by Gary Robertson. And Jalen West took it in a bit too deeply that time, and the bad shot led to a run-out.
Nice kick ahead, and yeah, that's we see Boynton maybe with the explosiveness that he might not have that he played heavy minutes in that first half.
Just an amazing run that Billy's had. And again, credit Jeremy Foley, the director of athletics at Florida, for not only profiling that Billy was the right guy for the job, but doing everything in his power to keep him in Gainesville when the Orlando Magic came calling.
You know, think about how the fortunes maybe of that franchise might have changed, and how Florida's might have changed had he not had that crisis of conscience.
No doubt about it. Well, the plane was waiting in Richmond, Virginia for Anthony Grant, and then on the rubber band, Billy Donovan came back. And as we mentioned before, you talk about a totally, thoroughly complete athletic department with a $100 million plus budget that cares as much about every sport as they do the one in the fall. Florida is it.
Billy Donovan had a Bobby Cremins moment there, but Florida Gator fans happy that it worked out the way it did.
Oh, loose ball situation, and Hicks is going to pick up the foul on the undercut. And the Gator lead has now gotten to double digits, largest of the night. First foul on Daquan Hicks.
Yeah, just he is pretty good with the basketball, but that a little bit far out to start his move.
Timeout as Daquan lost his shoe. Mike McConaughey is going to need a few stops to get back in it. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, and Otis Livingston, happy to have you with us as we come back here. During the timeout, on the gondola, the scoreboard that you see there, they had taken the crowd inside the Irwin Center to that matchup between Florida Gulf Coast and Georgetown as free throws were being hit to extend Andy Enfield's team's lead to 7. As you look at the tournament summary, that will soon be on it as soon as that game concludes. What a remarkable tournament it's been to this point, Mike, and that 7-point lead, if it holds up, will be the shocker so far.
No question about it. And their first NCAA experience ever. How about that?
It's been all Florida, really, after Northwestern State cut it to 6 in the opening moments of the second half. Murphy fouled a reach in that time by Patrick Robinson, number 10. His second. That's now 16 fouls against Northwestern State. And pretty soon they'll be in the bonus. One more foul and Florida will be shooting the rest of the way. That does not bode well for the Demons. Boynton, a runner. Not there.
You just get the sense that Florida's just kind of teetering on stretching this thing out. Just the way the game's been going. Northwestern State has not been playing a tempo, not been getting much out of their offense.
A little timid, I think, from an offensive standpoint. Not attacking the way we once saw them.
They need to reel this one back in.
Well, there's a move in the right direction. Counted and a foul. As Patrick Robinson goes end to end. Gets his 4th point of the night.
That's the first burst we've seen out of them in a long time. Quick transition from end to end and a 3-point play opportunity. Good call that time.
Yaget gets the foul, his second. And Patrick Robinson, the junior from Baton Rouge Christian Life Academy at the free throw line.
At least now they're starting to make plays. They can get up and they can set their pressure up a little bit.
And the timeout, Billy Donovan wants it.
Timeout, Florida.
The lead back to 8, which is what it was at the break. Gators lead in the second round. Follow tournament scores, stats, and news live on the CBS Sports app. Get it free by texting SCORE to 42777 or by visiting cbssports.com/mobile from your phone or tablet.
Fear the fork.
Florida Gulf Coast extending their lead to 10 with 5 seconds left. It looks like the Hoyas are going home. Unbelievable. No, wait a minute. It is. It's the NCAA tournament. Murphy lost it. Last touch by Northwestern State. Gators have had their way on these inbounds plays underneath the hoop.
Hoyas haven't had a good a year at the Wells Fargo. They losing to Villanova earlier in the year there.
Young is fouled. He'll get back to the free throw line. I got to tell you, I thought Georgetown, the way they were playing, and Otto Porter,
#1 seed at one point, couple weeks before the end of the year.
Had they not lost to Syracuse in the Big East tournament, and had they gone into the finals and beaten Louisville, which certainly was the potential was there, they very easily could have been won. You're right. Frazier coming back onto the floor. He replaces Michael Frazier the second. Casey Prather takes a seat. Well, that might be an idea later on as you see yet another misstep by Northwestern State on the boards as they cannot get control of the ball. That's what Mike McConaughey was talking to Otis Livingston about. Look at that.
Incredible. What a first year for Andy Enfield down there. Got to know him very well with working, as you said, with Leonard Hamilton's staff at Florida State over the last few years.
Talk about brackets beginning to open up, Mike.
Done. I mean, done. Somebody's cat might have picked that one, but
Murphy puts it in. And the lead back up to 11 after the 3-ball from Murphy. He's got 16. He has been absolutely demolishing Northwestern State down low and now even outside.
Yeah, both who started out posting up.
Hicks back inside. And again, the inability for Evans to finish, though he is fouled. Those are baskets that normally, DeQuan Hicks trying to settle him down. Normally he put that in the hoop.
Yeah, just really nice ball movement that time by Eric Murphy. Shoots at 46% from 3, 53% inside. 7 of 9 in this game. Very, very efficient.
O.J. Evans, senior from Mansfield, Louisiana, at the free throw line. Athletic enough to guard smaller guys. Having to deal with the Florida bigs tonight, though, has been very difficult for him. 52-42.
On pace right now, Tim, to score about 60 to 65 points, well below their season average. And while that may be above what Florida gives up normally, that would be an outstanding defensive effort against this team.
Frazier on the wing, and he's fouled. Robinson got him on the arm. The under 12 timeout. Gators in control of the upstart Demons of Northwestern State. 52-42 our score. Florida with the lead. Two very accomplished coaches and two very proud fathers. A father, a son, a ball and a dream. And Otis Livingston has two proud papas alongside. Right, Otis?
That's right, Tim. I'm just going to do a little chalk talk right here with some basketball coaches. Bill Donovan and John McConaughey. Wow, what a game today. You came over to me and said, hey, I'm glad we have a few extra points and we're up. You're not as nervous.
Exactly. We've been playing a lot of Ulster games lately, so thank God we got a little double-digit or close to double-digit lead here, which is good.
You have any advice for your son to get back into this game?
Well, just kind of keep your fingers crossed and see if he can't stop a few of those shots they're making and make one or two.
now, are you the originator of this fast-paced offense that we're loving today?
No, I'm not. I'll have to give him full credit for that. I like it. And when I coached, of course, I liked to move and press and play. I always played a lot of players, you know, if you had them play them. So, no, I'll have to give him credit for that.
All right. Do you have any advice for your son? You going to put on your coach's hat right now?
I stay away. He's got enough stress in his life without worrying about me, so all I do is say a lot of prayers.
You know what was great was seeing you two meet each other for the first time. It was like your old friends just got in there and talked coaching and the kids and the pride that you guys have. How much pride do you have when you sit back and you watch your son coach?
Well, it's just an honor to see him involved with youngsters like that. And, of course, it's not just on the floor, and I know that Bill's son is the same way. He's close to them. And his goal is to make as good a players, but make good citizens out of them when they leave and make a contribution to society.
Your son has 2 national titles, but I'm sure you echo those same sentiments about the effect that he has on young kids' lives.
Exactly. I mean, that's the most important thing right now. These kids always look back. A lot of them return to Florida that had on that national championship team. They're there a lot in the summer, so it's great to see them. And I know Billy feels a lot of pride when they come back.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you so much for giving me your time right now. I feel enriched. All right, Timmy B, back to you.
All right, thank you. What wonderful men they are. Wilbekin has fouled, and during that period, Bill's son has opened up now a double-digit lead all the way to 16. As they turn around, I think, and look at the score, they noticed it there.
Yeah, and it happened just that quickly. But how about that? Couldn't be 2 more different backgrounds than those guys as far as geographically where they're from, but speak the language of basketball.
I have many times had an opportunity to chat with Billy the kid's dad. He never missed a game, even when he was at Providence. And he had a game that Raft and I got to call back in '87 against Georgetown. It was the first time that Providence had ever beaten the mighty Hoyas, and it was they would meet again for the right to go to the Final Four that year. And Mr. Donovan would always tell me, Mike, that they never got rid of that VHS tape, that they'd always play it in the off season. It was a proud moment for his kid.
Well, I was saying, it's going to be tough to find something to play it on now.
I think they may have converted it to DVD by now.
Go look now, but that Villanova North Carolina game tightening up a little bit.
Amazing. Well, it's been an 11-1 run for the Gators. And you wonder, we were talking about the Gators, would they have enough in their tank? Well, making shots will give you energy. And the question now becomes, can Northwestern State mount any kind of rally at all?
Especially 6 of 13 from behind the arc for Florida.
They're really having to dig into that shot clock. Bryson White can't get it to fall.
Yeah, it's the 12 seconds, and that's a long time for Northwestern State to go through their stuff.
But it is a game of possessions. Out of bounds, Northwestern State gets it back with just over 10 minutes to play. Look at that 20-6 run. They cut it very quickly to 6 to open the half, or actually to 4. And then the Gators went on that huge 20-6 run. Stewart, a bounce pass entry, a little 2-man game with he and James Holman, and a foul underneath. Will you get was on his hip, and he picks up the foul. When the number of shots don't fall, sometimes you look fatigued when in fact you're just a bit despondent. First half, they really controlled pace of play, yet we're behind as you see a beautiful move, but the lack of a conversion by Robertson, and yet another run out for Florida. But Prather lost his dribble.
Interesting with the floor, Tim. A lot of guys again slipping in this game, losing their feet.
Neither Shamir Davis or Jalen West have been able to do much, and they're really the guys that have to lead this Northwestern State team.
How about this for Northwestern State? Only 4 fast break points in the game.
Yeah.
Florida's done a marvelous job getting back and shutting that off.
Just a show of frustration there by Davis. Lost his dribble, then picked up the foul against Yaget.
Pretty good defensive stand right there. Prather doing a nice job. He's had a lot of court time, and part of it has been because of foul trouble in this game, but only averages 16 minutes, but has been on the floor a lot.
A number of people, I think, discounted this year, Mike, when Florida did struggle a little bit, the loss of Will Uget and what that meant to the depth of that front line for Billy Donovan. Now, they managed to get him back at probably just the right time. Get the chemistry where he needed it to be, getting ready for the second season, the postseason.
Yep. And, you know, just not the numbers are eye-popping, but all the other things that he does out on the floor for you.
More than anything else, he gives Murphy and Young both opportunities to sit, gather themselves. Jalen West is checked in, replacing Shamir Davis. Florida has forced Northwestern State into a half-court game, and that is not to their liking.
Again, deep into the shot clock.
Bryson White, tough shot.
Yeah, and no second chance opportunities there.
And if you don't make shots, you certainly can't press. Now there's West with a steal. And again, a little out of control, lost his dribble, but it was last touched by Rosario.
Prather, nice job that time. The pursuit from behind, getting the deflection. Here's the look again, not giving up on the play, tracking him down. Pretty good rotation back defensively.
Colburn, again, forced into a tough shot, and it was deflected. Alley-oop to Prather. And that brings the Gator congregation to its feet. Timeout, Demons. 8:24 remaining in Florida, flexing its SEC muscle. Rosario, high to the rafters. Prather says, "Dunk you very much." Eric Murphy, what a performance he's had.
So you talk about a low-volume shooter. He has been terrific in this game. 7 of 9 from the floor, posting up early on. Billy Donovan wanted him to do a lot more of that this year, but he still has the ability to stretch the floor from the three. A couple of two for two from there. 6 rebounds, really nice stat line.
Northwestern State had gotten it down to 8 at 49-41, and then the Gators just exploded on a 14-1 spurt and have not looked back. Daquan Hicks, every shot seems to be a difficult one for the Demons. Frazier, Uget, Young, Prather, and Rosario, the 5 on the floor for the Gators. Arula can split that double team. Found a wide open on a wing, and there's Prather again, picking up all the loose garbage. Dropping it through, the lead balloons to 23. And another Demons turnover.
You get the sense, Tim, it took Florida about a half to figure out this team and how to play them and what they're looking for and the passing lanes, and they've just had a terrific defensive effort here in the second half.
They really have, and yeah, some of those interior passes that Northwestern State had going their way, the Gators have gotten into the passing lanes and they've read them. And it's been turnover city. Northwestern State with only 10 points this half. +6 minutes and counting without a field goal for the Demons. Florida will take on the winner of the UCLA-Minnesota game, our nightcap tonight here in Austin. Provided they hold on, Young takes it inside and is fouled. All Gators lead to 23.
Ernie Johnson in New York. What a stunner in Philadelphia. Number 15, Florida Gulf Coast over Georgetown. 7th time in tournament history, and it comes in FGC's debut in the tournament. Meantime, it's the 44th tournament appearance for North Carolina. A real battle with Villanova, but an and one for P.J. Hairston, who has 23 points, and it's over 78-71. North Carolina advances. Tim, Mike.
All right, Ernie, thank you. They were reigning 3s in defeat against Miami in the ACC tournament title. Mike, you were there for that. And B.J. Hairston has got to be the most valuable Tar Heel of this season.
He's made a difference. They went small and put him in the lineup. And with him and Reggie Bullock, they can really spread the floor. They shoot a ton of threes. Of course, the committee, always with a sense of humor, could set up a second-round match between Kansas and North Carolina, and those two programs historically very closely related.
And Murphy continues to feast on the offensive glass. 22% shooting for Northwestern State in the second half. And Rosario's come back onto the floor along with Wilbekin. And there's Scotty again getting the job done on the defensive end. Demons have lost their composure. Oh, the crowd was ready to leap to its feet yet again, but the alley-oop a little strong for Prather. Holding a team that averages 81 to just 42 at this stage with 5 and change remaining.
Yeah, their lowest scoring game of the year was 61 against Stephen F. Austin. A game they won, actually, playing at that scoring pace. But we thought this is the last wave, and these are kind of the 5 guys that we thought that would be out there for them. He's just looking for some for a team that can put some points up in a hurry.
Hicks, Shamir Davis turning down a shot. And see, there's just a bit of a timid nature to what they're attempting to do whenever they get caught in half court. And Florida has absolutely read them well and learned a great deal in that first half. Prather picking up the foul, his second.
Let's say, for Florida going forward, they're not a great free throw shooting team at 68%, and 12 of 21 in this game right now, left some points on the floor. And that could become an issue as the rounds pass by.
Oh, yeah, especially with whoever they may face, given what happens in our next game between Minnesota and UCLA. Boynton coming back into the game for Florida, and Prather sits down. (68-43). Florida. The SEC had a punch out with Missouri, but Ole Miss was a winner today, surprising a few and probably breaking up a few brackets, knocking off Wisconsin out of the Big Ten. Florida trying to hold serve, favored in this 3-14 matchup against Northwestern State. Look at that, only 11 points in this half for the Demons.
Florida countering it, and they've got 3 guards out there.
Nice pass inside. I'm really impressed with Daquan Hicks. Daquan Hicks is just a solid basketball player. You look at him and go, no, he can't do that. He can't blow by someone like that. But he can. But it has been a Florida coronation in the second half. They lead by a large margin. 68-45, Florida with the lead. I guess we shouldn't be surprised, Mike, because last year, you do recall 15th seeded Norfolk State beat number 2 seed Missouri 86-84. Pressey couldn't get it to go at the buzzer, and Norfolk State marched on, and 15th seed Lehigh defeated the Duke Blue Devils. So it's business as usual in 2013.
Absolutely. But I mean, just a team in your very first NCAA tournament game ever in the history of your program to step up and beat a number 2.
Well, and for Harvard to get its first ever NCAA tournament win against a New Mexico team some thought they'd make it all the way to the Final Four. As you see, Mike Rosario get the layup, 70-45. You get reaching in against Hicks, and he picks up the foul.
Credit the front line for Florida too, Tim. And they've spent a lot of time having to defend out on the floor, something that you're not really used to. But the way that Northwestern State spread you, their guys come out and go off the dribble, it's a little bit different experience. But none of them gotten in foul trouble, and they've done a pretty good job.
Absolutely. This young man is an old school player in a lot of respects. Brings a certain amount of toughness to this team. He cried after both conference tournament wins, the big ones that they got, both the semifinals and finals. Just the kind of guy that Mike McConaughey likes to have on his team. No give up in him. Gators using a little clock with each possession as we approach the 4-minute mark. Murphy on the wing for three. Another offensive rebound. This one by Scotty Wilbekin. So active.
Yeah, 13. And as I said again, at this point in the game, too, it just means another 35 seconds that you have to work with.
Nice save by Rosario. They play a game of angles. The drive, draw, and kick style. The problem for Florida has been where would the buckets come from against the late clock in close games. Wilbekin, the iron, not just unkind, but incredibly sticky.
Nice catch by the rim.
Timeout. Oh boy. You wonder why I coined the phrase, huh? There you go. There. 70-47 as you look at our game summary. Points in the paint, and it's been all with Florida. They extended their 8-point halftime lead to a whopping 25 at one point. And the Gators look to be in outstanding shape as they await the winner of the game between the Golden Gophers of Minnesota or UCLA. Wouldn't it be something if it happened to be Tubby Smith, who of course coached at Kentucky and was with Rick Pitino before becoming the head coach and winning that national championship. Many people thought Billy might wind up at some point coaching in Lexington. Regardless of who Florida would play, it would be a heck of a storyline as you see Young with the jump hook that goes.
Both of those schools coming up, those coaches with Final Four and championship experience.
Absolutely. Ben Howland, in fact, the first Florida national title in '06 came at the expense of UCLA during that period when Howland took 3 straight teams to the Final Four. Rosario. Too big, too strong, and too much on the offensive glass for Northwestern State to deal with. 16 offensive rebounds, 19 second chance points. And then Northwestern State went cold to go along with that, and it was lights out.
Yeah, Florida just completely grabbed the tempo of this game in the second half, and it was starting to stretch out about the 10-minute mark, and then they went on that run.
14-1 run, yeah, and put it away. And Young is fouled. Well, celebrate 75 years of March Madness by voting for your all-time players, teams, and moments of the NCAA tournament. Vote now at ncaa.com/March Madness.
You got to think in close games going forward that Patrick Young being a liability at the free throw line, is they're going to have to substitute offense for defense with him.
Yeah. You know, going back to Mike McConaughey for a moment, he does his pregame coaches show live. How many guys do you know would run over to their radio play-by-play man and do the pregame show live?
Literally finishing up right when his team's being introduced.
He said, well, I'm nervous anyway. I might as well use the time. And his play-by-play man is a young man that I've mentored and works with me on a daily basis, Patrick Netherton. He says, you couldn't have a better job than to have him as your guy for the pregame show. No need for a cassette recorder. A little pick and roll action on the wing, Robinson, and Young brings it down for Florida.
Everything has been in the half court for Northwestern State. No runouts, no fast break points.
And Billy Donovan wants to get some of his reserves into the game, quickly calls a timeout. And a nice hand from the Florida faithful. While we're at it, we should mention this. In yesterday's practice, Mike, I saw something I've never before seen in my 18 years of covering this event. Jeremy Foley and Billy Donovan had the Florida Pep Band on hand for practice.
Yep.
How good was that?
All of a sudden music started playing. I said, what is that? And I looked over, and there they were.
Go Gators, right?
Strong contingent here from Florida.
Yes, they did.
They get to stay the weekend.
When Spurrier was coaching in football, I used to say, that's a great fight song. He said, yeah, it's a fast one. We want to score and get the ball back. Dylan Graham gets into the scoring column, the freshman from Orlando, Florida. And Mike McConaughey will empty his bench, too.
Tim, once again, we saw it in the first game. This basket down to our right, nobody's been able to score on in 2 games.
You're right. Walker. Devon Walker, the freshman from Winter Haven, in the scoring column. And as we mentioned, timeout by the Demons. They're going to get their reserves onto the floor as well. Good for those young kids. Matt Killian gets some playing time. Dustin Adams. And you see the end coming for this Southland Conference Tournament Championship team that made yet another visit to the big dance. Did it in 2001, 06, and now again here. Loose ball run down by Killian. Takes it right to the rack, but can't get it to go. Rebound by Jacob Kurtz, gets it up into the hands of O'Boise. Youngster from Charlotte, Braxton O'Boise.
Well, not quite half, but you hold this team to 47 points. That's the leading scoring team in the nation. Pitching won this battle today.
Yes, it did. 15 this half. That's incredible. And Billy Donovan will move on and become one of the teams to really watch as they try to make it a little deeper than the Elite Eight, where they've been each of the last 2 seasons. And for Mike McConaughey and his pesky Demons, yet another trip to the NCAA, something they're accustomed to having in Northwest Louisiana and that lovely town, Natchitoches, where Steel Magnolias was filmed so many years ago. 79-47, the final score.
Well, I thought, I was interested. I thought that Northwestern State had a chance in this game just based on how they scored. But the balance of both ends of the floor for Florida really showed up. Almost 80 points. Nice offensive game for them. And then they really put the clamps on the Demons.
They really did. A buttoned-up defensive showing in the second half against the leading scoring team in the country coming into the NCAAs. And then you look at the bottom part of this bracket, Florida Gulf Coast getting the victory against Georgetown, and they'll await San Diego State, Oklahoma's winner. And UCLA will be taking on Minnesota in our finale for the right to take on the Gators.
Can you imagine Florida Gulf Coast getting through to the Sweet 16 and playing Florida?
Something to behold, as the NCAAs always are. Here's Otis Livingston with one of the stars and Billy Donovan.
Coach, how do you hold a team that's averaging 80 points a game, leading the nation to 47 points, including 15 in the second half?
Well, as I mentioned to you, I wasn't really thrilled with our defense in the first half. They shot too high of a percentage. And I think anytime you're seeing a team for the first time, there's some adjustments that your players have got to make. But we did a much better job defensively in the second half, and I think the game getting up and down the floor, at least it opened the game up. We were able to get out in transition, and we did a much better job in the second half of getting back. I didn't think we did a great job early in the first half of getting back in transition.
You guys were able to win going away, but as you move forward in the tournament, are you at all concerned about your free throw shooting? Because in a tight game, that could really come back to hurt you.
Well, I mean, you're always concerned about everything this time of year, but You know, Patrick Young is a guy that gets fouled a lot. Outside of him, I think we shot fairly well. But that's something we can work on and always get better at, and it's something Patrick, I think, has put a lot of time and effort into.
All right, best of luck in the third round. All right, now my favorite part, looking up at a 6'10". Eric Werby, talk about you guys coming off that SEC title game loss to Mississippi and coming in here to the NCAA tournament. How much confidence do you guys have?
We got all the confidence in the world. You know, we all believe in each other. We're really close to the team. We all love each other, and we all believe. You know, that loss, it happened. It's in the past. We can't do anything about it. Can't change it. So, you know, our big thing is focusing on right now and living in the moment.
How did you guys? How were you guys able to turn this thing around and open it up at the end?
Yeah, you know, I think Coach hit on it. You know, defense wasn't great in the first half. He wasn't too happy with us at halftime. He got on us a little bit, so that fired us up a little bit. And we came out in the second half. I think we did a better job getting back in transition. That's where they were hurting us in the first half. And, you know, we just played better, played harder on defense in the second half.
And now you're moving on to the third round against Minnesota or UCLA. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Tim, back to you.
He's the Rhode Islander on this Florida team from South Kingston, Rhode Island, St. Mark's High. Tournament game continues. Now on CBS, TBS, and TNT. Coming up on True, Minnesota and UCLA. We'll send it to our studios right after these messages.